Gift from a ghost. Chris was a 12-year-old boy with a fondness for scary stories and a penchant for staying up late on weekends. He wasn't particularly tall, but he made up for it with his lively imagination. One ordinary Saturday evening, Chris found himself at the local laundromat, waiting for his clothes to finish drying. Chris had noticed the elderly Korean woman as soon as he entered the laundromat. She seemed to be having a conversation with herself, talking but not answering. She had an air of kindness and grace about her that immediately drew his attention. She wore a traditional Korean hanbok, a beautiful and colorful garment that seemed to tell a story of its own. The woman had a serene countenance, her face lined with the wisdom of age. Her eyes, though slightly wrinkled from years of smiles and laughter, shone with a youthful sparkle that hinted at the joy she carried within. Her silver hair was carefully styled, swept back in a neat bun that allowed her serene face to be on full display. The woman spilled her basket and clean towels fell on the floor. Without thinking, Chris had swiftly picked up the towels, folded them and placed them on the table. The old woman smiled with some mirth, showing laugh lines around her eyes. Just as quick, the old woman folded her hand over Chris and her lips curled up further. As Chris shuffled backwards, thanking her for the coin, he couldn't help but notice the warmth and kindness that emanated from her. Her smile was genuine and radiated a sense of wisdom and genuine care for others. She spoke with a gentle voice, her words laced with a comforting charm that immediately put Chris at ease. "May this coin bring you the same fortune it brought me," she said, her eyes filled with nostalgia and a sense of passing on a cherished piece of her own life. She looked past him, nodded and returned her gaze to Chris. Chris thanked her again, feeling a connection to the past through this simple yet profound exchange. Little did he know that this seemingly ordinary encounter would set in motion a series of events that would unravel the mysteries of the attic and introduce him to the spectral world intertwined with his own. Chris watched the woman leave, noticing that she did not head directly to a car. Instead, the woman turned the corner of the building and vanished. He didn't check to see if she would return and after a few minutes, forgot about the woman entirely. With the coin in hand, Chris headed back home, wearing the coin around his neck on a makeshift necklace made out of shoestrings. He decided to explore the attic, a place he rarely ventured into. As he climbed up the creaky wooden stairs and pushed open the attic door, he felt a chill run down his spine. To his surprise, he found a young ghost girl sitting in the corner, staring out of the window. She appeared sad and lost, her ethereal form barely visible. Chris cautiously approached her, feeling a mix of fear and compassion. The ghost girl sat on the ledge of the attic, her form a delicate and ethereal presence. She had an otherworldly glow, a soft shimmer that made her seem both there and not quite there. Her skin was pale and seemed to faintly reflect the moonlight filtering through the attic window. Her eyes, a shade of pale blue like the sky just before dawn, held an unspoken sadness and longing. They were windows to a time long past, expressing the weight of her unfinished journey. Strands of translucent, silvery hair gently framed her face, swaying as if caught in a gentle breeze that only she could feel. She wore a simple, antiquated dress adorned with faded patterns, remnants of an era gone by. The dress seemed to float around her, as if moved by a phantom wind, adding to her ethereal appearance. When she looked at Chris, it was as though she peered into the depths of his soul, her gaze a mix of hope and longing for release from her spectral existence. As she sat by the window, her hand rested gently on the windowsill, fingers tracing patterns in the dust that had settled there over the years. Despite her melancholy, there was a grace and beauty about her, an undeniable sense of purity that contrasted the sorrow that seemed to bind her to the attic and its haunting mysteries. "Who are you?" he asked softly, unsure of how she would respond. The ghost girl turned her translucent gaze toward him, a glimmer of recognition in her eyes. She whispered, her voice carrying a haunting melody, "I'm Etta. I'm so glad that someone can see me now. Thank you for bringing the talent back. It's our link to the past, to memories long forgotten." Chris was stunned. He hadn't expected the coin to be connected to the ghost girl's presence in the attic. Eager to understand more, he asked, "How can I help you?" She sighed, a whisper in the air. I've been trapped here for so long. That talent is a key to setting me free, maybe others, but it needs to be returned to its rightful place. This. Chris pulled a shoestring from under his shirt. Tied to it was the coin hanging as a pendant. Do you mean this coin? Chris, still captivated by the ghost girl's presence, hesitated to return the coin. The coin lit up and flickered to life. He was drawn to the stories and images the two could see through it, intrigued by the glimpse into other lives and worlds that seemed to be trapped within the ancient Korean coin. Chris saw the image of the old woman who gave him the coin, though she was far younger than at the laundromat. He also saw the girl, in the same dress she was wearing now, in a visual flashback. As the images flickered and danced before them, a sudden change occurred. The ghost girl's features twisted in concern and fear. She seemed to lose herself for a moment, overtaken by the rush of visions from the coin. When she regained her focus, she looked at Chris with a newfound urgency in her eyes. "You must be careful," she urged, her voice echoing through the attic. "By peeking into the lives held within the coin, you've drawn the attention of darker spirits, malevolent entities that hunger for the living. They've sensed your curiosity and your link to this coin. Do not give the coin away to anybody. Never lose it." Chris's heart raced as the gravity of the situation sank in. He hadn't anticipated the consequences of his actions. The attic suddenly felt colder, and the shadows seemed to deepen, their presence more ominous than before. "What should I do?" Chris asked, his voice quivering with a mix of fear and determination. "An old lady gave it to me." The ghost girl extended her transparent hand toward him, but it couldn't touch the coin. "Guard yourself," she said urgently. "Keep the coin safe, but be cautious of the shadows it may cast. Seek knowledge and wisdom to shield yourself from their malevolence." With those words of warning, the ghost girl faded back into the mist, leaving Chris alone in the attic. He pocketed the coin, promising to heed her advice and protect himself from the looming threat of darker spirits. The adventure had taken an unexpected turn, and Chris now faced a challenge that tested his courage and resourcefulness. Well done! Thanks for watching.